roll with it.
Let's go. All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for talking. Let me get my cursor out of the way. I'm here with my good friend and fellow coach, Andrea Mullon. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. This
Yeah,
is
I'm
fun.
excited. We have been in a mastermind group together for 8 or 9 months, and we connected and have been texting every day almost about all the things we're going through. So I appreciate, having you in the group, but also being such a support in my own life these past months. So,
Same here. And we're meeting for the first time in person in like 2 weeks.
oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Yeah, an event came up and I was like, wait, is this when I'm supposed to meet Andrea?
Yes.
And we got everything out of the way and we're making it happen. So I'm super pumped. I'm gonna face my fear of flying to come visit. So, the story that you have that impacts me the most, correlates with my theme for this year and especially this week, which is creating miracles in your life. And to me, a miracle is when something seems impossible before it happens, right? So I feel like I believe we all have this perception. We shine our light in this certain arena, and it seems like all the possibilities are in that arena, right? But what sometimes we don't realize is that beyond what we can see is just limitless possibility, right? It goes on and on and on. It's just in the dark. It's in the mystery. We haven't seen it yet. And when we make things happen that are past, like the light, it illuminates that area. We learn more about what's possible in the world. And I've
Mhm.
learned that from you. And there's ways of being intentional in your life, right? To take the things that seem impossible and bring them into the realm of possibility and actually create them in your life. And I know you've done that. So that's what I want to talk about today. But first, I'd like you to share a little bit about you and how you became a coach and how long you've been a coach and what kind of work you'll be doing in the future.
Sure. So, um, my background is in teaching. I taught middle school English for 10 years, and then I became a coach to teachers. And around that time, I saw a coach outside of work, and I noticed that a lot of the work that I did with my personal coach correlated very well to the work that I did with teachers, just about awareness and judgment and self-judgment and self-compassion and being present, and not taking your past and projecting it onto your future. And so I found myself doing the work with my personal coach, with a lot of my teachers
Yeah.
that I worked with. And then eventually I decided to take this into my own practice and have my own coaching practice. And what I really love the most about this is that I secretly am a book hoarder. And I used to think it was because I was just an English teacher who loved to read, but it's really because I felt like there are answers out there that everyone knows but me. And if
Mm.
I read the right book, one day I will know the secrets of the universe. I'll know this like magical information that
Yeah.
other people seem to know that I don't know. So, I mean, if I could tell you how much money I've spent on books, my mom comes over and yells at me every time about how many books I have. And I'm like, Mom, I just got rid of like 50 books. So
Yeah.
stop, you know?
You have no idea.
I'm like,
Yeah.
at least it's not like crack, Mom. Come on. Like I could have a much worse habit. I read too much.
Then
But
self-improvement. Right.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
really, um, I felt like there's answers out there about how to live life correctly
Mm.
to be successful, and that I somehow did not know the answers.
Uh-huh.
And I'd read these books and I'd like understand them, but then I just go about living my life. And with seeing my own coach and practicing this, I realized that that's a lie.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
you do know the answers.
Uh-huh.
Um, and there are ways to find what your truth is, even when you cannot see more than 2 inches in front of you because everything looks so muddy and unclear. And so when I saw that first coach, she taught me a lot about self-awareness and taking the things that I read about, but putting them into practice.
Yeah.
You know, that's a huge, huge missing component when you're reading about personal development, is that you don't have someone to talk it through with.
Absolutely.
Which is where coaches come in handy. But I love helping people who think they don't know what they want, because that was me forever and ever. I don't know, and helping them see that they do know, and they don't have to ask anyone else, and they don't have to read another book.
Yes.
That they
Yes.
can find their own answers.
Yeah, there's this paradox I find where I still do the self-help book, right? Addiction thing. And there's this paradox where, I definitely have found so many useful nuggets in books. But it turns out that the answer is inside of us, the answer and the love, right? That we are all looking for is inside of us. But having my own coach, and then you and I, or me and, someone else with the skills, coaching each other, that's like the access point, because you can see outside of the area of vision, my light's shining on this certain area of what I think is possible. You're able to see it from another angle. Right. And I'm able to see you from another angle. And so it's my friction with other people, right? In a good way, right?
Yeah.
That actually expands the possibilities that I have. But paradoxically, right, the actual possibility that I want, that I can create, is only inside me.
Right.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. So I'm interested in specifically 2 times that I've heard you speak about before, when you've taken something that you felt in your body was impossible, right, and brought it into reality. So the first one is your house, and the second one is your relationship, the transformation in your relationship. Will you tell us first about your experience, kind of manifesting your dream house?
Sure.
Where you were before, right? Where you
Yeah.
started, how you were feeling, and then the journey that you went on.
Yeah. So we were living in an apartment on the 3rd floor, and we had a toddler, and I was getting to the point where walking up the 3 flights of stairs with groceries and a toddler was getting, in the Arizona heat, was getting to feel like I don't want to do this anymore. And we moved here from New York thinking that we'd find a more reasonable cost of living here, right, in Arizona. And we were renting, and we're like, okay, let's buy a house, let's go for this. And somebody happened to call me and tell me they knew a realtor and hooked me up with one. And I went with the flow. I was like, this is the sign, it's time. Let's meet a realtor. We had 0 in savings for a house. Like, I just literally was like, talked to the woman. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but sure, I want to buy a house.
But yes, yeah.
I still don't really understand what escrow is, but I don't get it.
Yeah.
But
right now.
So we met, and we told her what we were interested in paying as a mortgage and how much money we had, and she determined what our home value could be. We told her where we wanted to live. At the time, it wasn't out of the question to buy a house in that price range in those areas, but there weren't many, and they were not in really good shape. And we are not handsy people, so I did not want to buy something that needed a lot of work. And we were giving her a mortgage payment that would have been like our maximum. There wouldn't have been a lot of money left over to renovate things.
Yeah.
So we just kept seeing all these places, and I just couldn't imagine myself living there. They were dark. My apartment was nicer, or no driveway, which in Arizona is just really tough. I'm sorry, no garage, because it's so hot in the summers here. So what happened was, I started just practicing what I know. about the idea of manifesting and visualizing and having what you want and feeling it. What would it feel like? So I'd close my eyes and I'd imagine myself walking through my house and what that would feel like. And, you know, even when I was doing things like brushing my teeth and doing the dishes, I would just close my eyes and imagine I'm in my house doing this. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I mean, what would it feel like if I was in my house doing this? And I allowed myself to feel that happiness. And then I started doing this little game where I would go on Zillow and I would look at houses that I could afford that were not necessarily in the areas that I wanted to live, but I just was tricking my brain almost into believing that I could have this house, because otherwise I was like, I'm going to have my house. And my brain was like, no, you're not. You can't afford it. You can't afford that house.
It's impossible, right?
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
could feel that tension in my body. And
Yeah.
anytime you're feeling that, that's just a little counterproductive to the ease you want to feel, right? The
Yeah.
fulfillment. So I would look at places we could afford that were what I wanted. Maybe they were 20 miles out or something. And I would just swipe and say, I could have this house if I wanted to. I could have this house if I wanted to. And I believed that I could have this house, and it was
Mhm.
true. And so all of a sudden I didn't feel the tension anymore when I thought about my house.
Mhm.
I felt the truth of it. I could have it. If I want a house, I could have it. And then that's when magic started happening. And my realtor had suggested this other neighborhood that I had not even thought of. I thought it was too far away. It was south of where we were. I was looking north. And one day my parents were in town and they watched our son, and we went out to breakfast in this neighborhood and we loved it.
Mhm.
I mean, we loved this neighborhood more than the neighborhoods we were looking at.
Yeah.
Um, it was more of like a small town feel, and it had like a little main street. There were mom and pop stores, and it wasn't as far as I was thinking it was.
Uh-huh.
You know, I was willing to go 20 more minutes north, but I wasn't even looking 20 more minutes south. And
Yeah.
at the time, like, it almost seems like common sense. Like, why
Right.
weren't you looking south? But at the time, like you said, you have this field of awareness that you can only see. And I
Yeah.
had really written this place off without even
Mhm.
looking at it.
Yeah.
And so we fell in love. I found a house that was beautiful, and we were
Mhm.
in contract 5 days later. And there was more magic where these people had to move immediately because
Yeah.
they had been offered a job, and they showed their house that weekend, and they were only entertaining bids and offers from that weekend. And we were the only people that actually put the offer in those 2 days. And then we only had under what they were asking for. We
Uh-huh.
went, $15,000 under, and they accepted it. And then my parents also, out of nowhere, we didn't ask them, gave us some money towards the house, that was a miracle to me, because I wasn't asking them.
Yes.
Not even
Yes.
considered asking them for any money. And they gave us something that really helped with closing costs and put it towards that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So it sounds like once you felt in your body that feeling of having, right?
Hmm.
That feeling of, wait, this is possible, right? Your
Hmm.
body is what determines if what you believe is possible, right? When you look at the opportunities or think about the dream, right?
Hmm.
Once you in your body attuned yourself to the new possibility, it sounds like things just fell into place.
That's how it happened.
Yeah.
And I used to not really think about the connection to my body. And
Mhm.
when, a lot of us are just in our heads all the time, but there's so much information in your body.
Yeah.
There's so much like gold in the truth of how you're feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and to me, once my body is settled
Hmm.
into this is okay, right? Whether your identity has to shift or to gather more information or whatever it is, right? Like it's once you're settled into that, that's when I can trust, right?
Hmm.
Enough to expand my understanding of what's possible. And like you said, you like just decided, oh, I'll look somewhere else, right?
Right.
Yeah, amazing. So you're living in the house now.
Yeah. When I tell you that this is my dream house, I'm 100% serious.
Mhm.
It's exactly what I wanted. It's light filled. It's one story, no more stairs. No more stairs in my future.
Amazing. And before you did the practice of imagining these houses being yours, the ones that you really wanted, right? And having it in your body, if you hadn't done that practice and expanded your understanding of what was possible, right? Shifted your identity, you might have ended up, right? Saying, kind of settling, right? This feeling of settling, like, well, this is what I can have, so this is what I'll just do,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's a different path to take. And, people do what people do. Like maybe we all do both, but I love this example of you holding the vision, right? And continuing to practice just with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Over and over and over until you really settled into, no, I am going to have my dream house. I
Mm-hmm.
can have my dream house. I will have my dream house, right? It's coming. And then I love how the money came too,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like saying yes to the steps allows the next steps to happen.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we've talked about that before of not having to know the how before you say yes.
The how is, of course, you just want to know the, like, you want to put the pieces together yourself and plan it all out. But the times that I've manifested something like a miracle, the how was beyond anything I could have ever thought of myself. It was so much better. This town that we live in actually feels like home to me, and I
Yeah.
wasn't feeling like I was home here in Arizona. So I wasn't imagining this place for myself. I was settling and I didn't even know it when I was looking at the other places.
Right. But being willing to take that step into the
Mhm.
dark, right? Into the unknown. Okay, I'll drive somewhere else. Okay, I'll keep imagining. Okay, right? It's like taking those extra steps means surrendering to not knowing the how.
Yep.
Right? Because in our field of vision are things that we've done before, or we've seen our parents do before, or we understand our friends have done before, right? This is how you buy a house. You check these boxes. But by taking those steps, right, into I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm going to keep pursuing it, right? That is how you expanded what was possible for you and
Right.
created. Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. I love that story. I think that maybe is the fourth time I've heard that story about you flipping through the pages and being like, I have it, I have it, I
Yep.
have it, I have it, and just taking it on. Amazing. I'm taking that with me. I keep it in my pocket.
I love that.
Yeah. So what's the shift that's happened for you, the miracle that I've seen happen for you since I've known you is a ginormous shift in your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So can tell us about a little about you and Josh and where you were maybe when we met, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was going on, and then the process of how that has shifted and where you are now.
Right. Well, Josh and I are in a circumstance that kind of stinks where we work separate hours. We don't get to spend a lot of time together, and that's not great for any couple, right? You need to give your relationship some time and some love and make time for connection. And because of our schedules, it just wasn't happening. We went through kind of a period where we just were not on the same page. And I kind of felt like he was always in a bad mood. And he probably felt like I was always in a bad mood. So the times that we were together were just us being stressed out and in a bad mood together.
Yeah.
So this one, we spoke a lot about our expectations of other people. And then this whole idea that I began to entertain again was
Mhm.
the idea that it only takes one person to change a relationship.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
had it kind of set in my head that you change a relationship by going to therapy. and talking to
Hmm.
this outside person, again, looking outside
Right.
yourself.
The answer's out there
Yep.
somewhere. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
that this person was going to tell us what we needed to do to change our relationship. And once and that's not a terrible idea. We did go. We actually went to a few sessions together, but the part that I think we got the most out of was that we always went to dinner afterwards,
Right.
because we had already hired a babysitter. So we decided, all right, we're just gonna like go out to eat.
Yeah.
And that's where we connected. And I decided, with your help, that I wasn't going to just continue to be in a bad mood. I'm
Yeah.
going to be the person that I want to be in my
Yes.
relationship, and I don't
Hmm.
want to be in a bad mood.
Yeah.
So I decided that I'm going to try and change the dance in our relationship by being in a better mood,
Well,
like,
I think what first came before that was when we, instead of I think what, you know, so many women, including myself, have done for years and years is look at your partner and say, this is what I don't like about you,
yes.
right? This is the problem,
Yeah.
right? And I invite you to tell me what you don't like about me,
Yeah.
right? Like I get that I'm not perfect, right? And we think we're like doing a good job because we're like admitting that we're not always right or whatever. But we look at the other person and we're like, this is what's wrong and this needs to get fixed. And we live in that cycle of he did it again, he did it again, he did it again, he's not listening,
Yeah.
he did it again. And
Yeah.
it gets us all wound up. And I think the first thing I remember the shift that you made, which I've seen other people make too, is you being like, I'm just, like you said, I'm not going to play this game anymore. Like this,
Yeah.
we're playing a certain way. I'm playing a certain way, and I don't want this relationship. And I remember you feeling like, I'm done with the
Mm-hmm.
relationship as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like I quit the relationship as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm out, right? You didn't break up with Josh, right? But I just watched you internally get to that place of like, not this.
Right.
I don't know what it is. That's the edge of the growth again, right? The growth edge again is like, I'm stepping into the darkness. I don't know what's there, but I'm not doing this anymore.
Right. And so I realized that it was a lot of pointing fingers at him,
Mhm.
that, and me waiting for him to do what I wanted to do, like it,
Yeah.
so that I could be happy.
Yeah.
And instead I decided, well, I'm just going to be happy and
Yeah.
not wait for somebody else to give me the okay,
Yeah.
that I can be happy now. And then that just changed the dynamic between us. And
Mhm.
I recall this one other really important moment that I think I told you about as well, where I came back from somewhere. I pulled up into the house and I had a really good day.
Yeah.
And I was about to walk into the house and I
Yes.
felt myself like put up a shield.
Mhm.
Like it was an energetic in the body, not logical,
Yeah.
but I was kind of like afraid, like, am I going to walk into, because Josh had been watching our son all day. Am I going to walk into a tantrum? Am I going to walk
Mhm.
into him being tired and like, here, take your son. He
Right.
wants his
Right.
mom.
Anticipating the
Right. And
worst.
the
Yeah.
anticipating the worst. And I was about to walk in with like a look on my face of like defense.
Yes.
I'm ready to
Yes.
defend myself from whatever I'm walking into. And then I realized, like, why am I deciding that's what's happening in there? And
Yeah.
I just got present to that, and I was like, whoa, I might do this a lot. Like
Uh-huh.
I might walk in the house like this with that look on my face of, I don't know if I really want to be here a lot.
Yes.
And
Yes. And
and
live
then
there, right?
right.
Like
And
live in
then
that place. Yeah.
he looks at me and thinks, she doesn't really want to be here. And I'm
Mhm.
like, and we're just creating that dynamic. So that day I felt that, and I changed it. I was like, nothing's wrong. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
I want to see you. I want to see my son. I've been missing you
Mhm.
guys all day. And I opened the door and said, I'm home.
Yeah.
And things were great.
Mhm.
But I could tell that I had the suspicion that I had done that before many times.
And what you chose to do was leave yesterday in yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
right? And today, you decided today to live in nothing's wrong,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because what happens when we bring the criticism every day is we're bringing what's wrong. We're bringing that something is wrong. We're being that something is wrong. And I think we had made this distinction today in our mastermind group, in our circle. Can we live in a relationship and just live in our life, a life where pain happens, where
Mm-hmm.
disagreement happens, where sadness happens, where anger happens, right? Can we live in a world with all of that and have that be okay?
Mm-hmm.
Right? To me, that's like the biggest first distinction when people choose to be happy, right? It doesn't mean that they reject ever being sad or angry or disagreeing or having problems. It's like, I'm here for it,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. And so described who you were being when you walked in defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now when you walk in the door in your house, who are you being, right? When you show up for your family and your relationship.
Present to what is right now,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
I don't, because I can walk into a tantrum. That's happened
Sure.
many times.
But it's okay, right?
And an
Like being that
exhausted
it's okay.
dad. Yeah. And I can walk home to an exhausted partner. But then it's okay. I'm here now, and I'm here that, and I can help. I'll take my son. I'm ready. You go take a rest.
Mhm.
Or I'm there for my son. I'm present for him, ready to help him through his tantrum.
Yeah.
But just being I one of the biggest things that I love and live in and have learned is the present moment.
Yeah.
It's what it comes down to so much.
Yeah.
Like, to being here now and surrendering to it.
Yeah. No, I want to get into other things I've heard you speak about that have really impacted me along those lines. But I want to notice that the shift you made and that I that I have made personally myself and I've seen other people make is when we're criticizing, we're comparing to this fantasy, right? This fairy tale. We're like, it's supposed to be like the fairy tale, or maybe it's not even a fairy tale. We have this story about what the bare minimum is, and like you're not reaching it, and that kind of thing. And we're bringing that energy to it. But you shifted to loving what is, right?
Mhm.
So whatever you brought your love, you let it grow and shine out of you, right? Onto whatever the situation is, whatever you walk into, a tantrum, a happy kid, a happy partner, or a tired partner, doesn't matter. You decided to bring your love to it,
Mhm.
right? And have you seen a shift in your partner because of that? Like since then, has he told you his experience in your relationship has
Oh,
changed?
I mean, yes, we've talked about it, and I can tell, and just the change in how much we speak to each other, and just the number of disagreements that go on has
Yeah.
dropped drastically. And it's not like they never happen,
Mhm.
but a lot more aware of them,
Yeah.
and my part in them.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect, so I slip back into old behaviors,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes, but I can see when I'm doing it.
Right. But I've noticed that it's like once you realize that um, the criticism doesn't take you where you want to go in
Mm-hmm.
your relationship, it's like that's stepping off the edge into the darkness. Like, what strategy am I going to use now? I have no idea,
Yeah.
right? But I'm going to show up, and it sounds like presence is really
Yeah.
important, right? And just communicating honestly about what is right now. Not that it's a problem, not that it's not okay, but hey, this is what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's deal with that, right?
Yeah. I have had a lot of difficulty telling people that I'm upset.
Uh-huh.
I have a lot of like when I was younger, just be polite and smile, be polite and smile. So
Yeah.
when I'm upset sometimes, especially with a partner that I can't run away from, I can't just say,
Yeah.
okay, I'll talk to you in 2 weeks and then I'll go home and cool down. Like you are in my home,
You're in it.
you're
Yeah.
in it. So, in any other relationship, you can take your space, but in a one where you're living together, you can't. So communicating openly and letting myself get upset and telling him that I'm upset right now and it's okay
Right. It's
has
okay
been
that I'm upset.
has
And
been a
yeah.
magical element to strengthening our relationship because now the more I'm just open about it, he's not afraid when I get mad anymore.
Yeah.
He's not afraid, but he still gets the message of how I'm feeling, which I
Yeah.
wasn't giving him before. I was just holding it in and being mad and waiting for him to just figure it out.
To
And
notice.
now I
Yeah.
can just say I'm pissed off because of this.
Yeah.
So,
So this is what was outside of your field of vision,
mhm.
right? This practice. And what role did coaching play in you making this shift, right? With JP or me or like any, we're around a bunch of coaches now in this mastermind.
It was considering my participation
Mm,
in the dynamics of our relationship. Because,
mm,
like you said before, I was often like, well, no, if you just do that,
uh-huh.
like if you just change, then, you know, things will change and I'll be happier. But
Right.
realizing that I'm complicit in everything that's happening.
Even
Um,
creating it, right?
yep.
The walking in defensive, like these
Yeah,
things that,
that's the part that I mean is
yeah,
that I actually am doing things, even if it's by not doing things, like
yeah,
not communicating, that's making this dynamic between us. Like I play a role, and that idea of one person can change your relationship, which you emphasized to me a lot,
mm,
really made me think and step out of it and say, okay, well, what could I be doing? I don't think I'm doing anything that's
yeah,
contributing to this, but what
mm,
if I am? And I had to own that, which is
yeah.
really hard at first.
No, my favorite part about coaching is that you're in talks with somebody who has no shame. I mean, we all have like shame come up, but when you and I talk or when we talk with JP, our coach, um, it's a space where there isn't shame when you see your own shadow.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like, oh, good. Oh my gosh, I do see it. I have my power back now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think sometimes when we're with our partners or when we're in other dynamics in our life and relationships, there's this shame to seeing your own shadow. There's this
Mm-hmm.
shame to realizing, oh, I'm creating the unhappiness in my relationship. But my favorite part of being with um, other coaches is that you've mentioned this before, we're able to like, you're eagerly texting me, like, what do you see here? Right?
Yeah.
What am I doing wrong? And I'm like, well, I think da 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 da. It's just my idea. And then it's more of like a gratitude, right?
Yeah.
We go to gratitude instead of to shame.
Right.
It's like a different, it's it's different than I've experienced in other relationships, right?
Right.
When we talk about this kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like when we talk a lot, especially when it comes to our relationships, like I am just willing to tell you the whole truth about what I'm thinking and feeling. I don't feel like I need to hold back, and I know I don't feel like I'm being judged at all
Right. Zero, right?
because I
Like we're
just
just
can't see. I just can't
right.
see outside of what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And I believe that. So I'm totally willing to tell you how I feel because I trust, I don't believe I'm intentionally doing anything wrong or
Well, we're
bad.
not, right? That's the
Right.
thing. We're all
Yeah.
innocent, right?
Yeah.
We are not intentionally doing anything wrong. And if I
Mm-hmm.
could have a conversation with you, right, where you can shine your light in an
Mm-hmm.
area that I can't see, right? I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like such deep gratitude to
Yeah.
the power that it gives me my power back.
One thing you showed me, you pointed out once that also stuck with me, is that I thought that by not criticizing him to him, that I was being good. Like I'm not creating conflict because I'm not saying it to him. And
Uh-huh.
you pointed out that she's like, you're like, yeah, but you're doing it in your head. You're
Yeah,
thinking
you're
lots of
still doing
stuff,
it.
but you're still doing so. And I
Yeah.
realized like, oh, I am.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just a secret. It's the
Yeah,
secret criticism. Yeah.
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 And that was really, really a big moment for me. Like when I'm saying things in my head that I wouldn't say to the other person, it's
Yeah.
not much better.
No,
It's
in
not
fact, it just creates resentment because now it's a
resentment.
secret. And I want to really touch on the point of when we talk about not criticizing our partners or whoever, right? It's not that you're not intentionally creating change,
Right.
right? So the criticism is when you look at someone and say, "You're doing this wrong, it's your fault."
Hmm.
Right? Just there's a you're bad a little
Hmm.
bit in there, right? Or at least you're doing a bad thing. And what I find is much more effective in my relationship is when I dream about what I want,
Mm.
right? And so one thing that I did was I decided I want to kiss when my husband comes home. And I would tell him, and it would happen for one day and then never again. And I would be like all in my feelings about it. Like he doesn't even care, doesn't even want to have that kind of relationship. I could talk for an hour about the
Hmm.
ways I got down on myself and on him, right? And then maybe it would come up in a fight. Like you don't even give me a kiss when you come
Yeah.
home, right? Instead, I said, I want a kiss with my husband whenever
Yeah.
he comes home, whenever we were apart and then we're together again. And so what I started doing is moving my body to him when he walks in the door and either giving him a kiss or asking for a kiss,
Hmm.
right? Or would you like a kiss? And that is the difference between like management and like shame inducing criticism and
Hmm.
leadership, right? So I was a leader in my relationship where now we very frequently have a kiss because he
Hmm.
looks forward to it,
Hmm.
right? If it's me just like you're bad because you don't kiss me, then it's like, okay, I guess I'm
No,
supposed
I
to
don't
kiss.
want to kiss you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But if it's like I would love to have a kiss with you right
Yeah.
now, and then I do it and I do it and I do it and I do it, guess who comes up and gives me surprise kisses all the time now?
Yeah.
Right? That's a thing I created in my relationship without any criticism.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Like I shouldn't have to ask for one. I
Right.
shouldn't
We
have
get
to.
in these, yeah.
That's like we learned in some fairy tale. I don't know if it's Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty. I shouldn't
If he
have to
doesn't
ask.
kiss me,
Yeah,
he
you
must
should
not
just
love me. Oh
go.
my gosh. But this comes back to self-love. Like, how about I love myself and go get myself a kiss?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Um, and we could talk all day about this. What I want to move on to is you have a couple teachings that have really, to me, explained very well the baseline of inner work. And I know a lot of people, we're around coaches sometimes that we're used to people doing inner work and having these basics, but there's a certain thing that you talk about that to me is like the perfect introduction to inner work for
Mhm.
somebody who maybe hasn't um, done a lot of it before in a coaching perspective versus, I think in therapy we go into what's wrong and we work there and we get to okay. But in coaching, we're really learning to create our world, right?
Right.
And we're learning to be a leader for ourselves, right? And then that spreads right to maybe the things around us. Um, so can you explain a little bit about how you what you learned as you got introduced into inner work and um, what you find, these are the things that you find the most helpful to learn at the beginning.
Sure. The biggest thing is the most basic thing is that you are not your thoughts. That's the it's like inner work 101, but sometimes we feel like everything we're thinking is so real and actually happening and true.
And
Um,
true,
yeah.
yes, you
So
believe
you
everything that
believe.
all the
Yeah.
words that are expressed in your head. Yeah.
Right. All the things you hear. And one of my favorite things to do is closing my eyes and watching the chatter of my brain. and remembering that I am not the chatter, I am the witness to the chatter.
Yeah.
And being in the witness mentality and staying there for a long time. So I don't really coach on this further than that, but one thing I'm just always mesmerized by is like, okay, well, if I'm not the thoughts and I'm the thinker of the thoughts, I'm the witness, what does that mean for the truth of who I am? And I don't know, we don't know the answer to that, but you depending on your beliefs.
Is it describable? I don't know.
Yeah, it's not describable, but I just think that's something I can sit and think about and wonder about for hours. But you are not your thoughts, you are the observer of your thoughts, and you are connected to something else, and that's the truth of who you are. The other thing that I teach that tends to help clients really well is, well, first of all, sometimes you're just upset and you can't even identify your thoughts. You're just upset. Yeah. So it's kind of like a reverse way of finding it. But when you're feeling that upset in your body,
so the first step is to identify, right? Yeah. This like awareness, and this comes out of learning to be the witness, right?
Right.
It's not just your thoughts, right? I guess that's what I wanted to put in. It's not just your thought, it's how you're feeling in your body too.
How you're feeling in your body, which I believe is caused by a thought, but sometimes they're so habitual and automatic and true to you that you can't even identify the thought.
Thoughts don't even have words always, right? Like, do bears have thoughts?
Right.
Yes, but they don't have words.
Right.
So we actually, right, are experiencing thoughts all the time.
Yeah.
That don't even have words. So yeah, sorry to interrupt, but that was.
No, it's okay. But so it's not always to notice when you're thinking something painful, but anytime you're feeling it in your body, whether it's tightness in your chest, in your throat, a headache, tension is somewhere in your body, and not thinking that means that something's wrong, but thinking that that's your internal teacher kind of saying, pay attention to me. Whatever you're thinking right now is not aligned with the truth of who you are. And this was taught to me by my first coach, Bonnie Maley, who's amazing. But that is a gift. That pain is just like if you had knee pain and you would go to the doctor. Emotional pain is your internal teacher saying, pay attention to what's going on right now, because it's not true. It's not true in regards to the truth of who you are. It may feel very true. So first of all, acknowledging it and feeling it, like I have tension in my chest, and closing your eyes and breathing and describing it and feeling the tension instead of trying to get rid of it immediately, but breathing through it and describing it. What does it feel like to me? It feels like someone squeezing my heart.
Yeah, getting this intimate relationship, right?
Yeah.
With what happens in your body. Yeah.
What happens in your body? Know when your body's speaking to you, and what does it feel like? What do you imagine when you close your eyes? And then move into it, keep breathing through it, and then identify what's going on. And usually it goes back to one of 5 things. One is that you're thinking about the past, rehashing the past. 2, you're thinking about the future and what ifing. Another one is you're thinking that things should be different. Your partner should be different. Your boss should be different. You should have more money. You should be more, you're shoulding. Or that you're not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough here. I'm not good enough. And the last one is that you're not being in integrity with yourself. You're going against your own values, and it hurts.
Right. You wanted to say yes and you said no. Or you wanted to say no and you said yes. Yeah.
Yep. You're saying yes to things that you shouldn't say yes to when you want to say no and you're not in integrity. So those are your 5 things. I'm not good enough. I'm attached to something being different and it's not. Yeah. I'm in the past, I'm in the future, or I'm not in integrity with myself. And that can help you locate or feel what's really causing your pain. And then you can change it. You can notice it. And then if you have an affirmation or a declaration or whatever you call it, You can repeat it to yourself.
We didn't talk about doing this, but I'd love to talk about the antidote. We can just create right now what the
Yep.
antidote to each of those things
Yeah.
are. So let's go through the five things and find at least one antidote, right?
Okay.
So what was the first one?
I'm not good enough.
So I'm not good enough, right? So um, there's, to me, the culture of supremacy that we live in, right, has us constantly comparing ourselves to other people.
Mhm.
Right. And so, and also, like, don't you think so many of us, I know I learned also just in childhood, right, about being punished or having experiences where someone else is comparing you to someone else, or
Mhm.
comparing to the fairy tale,
Mhm.
right? That's a form of comparison that we're always doing. So what would the antidote be to having the thought or feeling the feeling in our bodies of I am not good enough?
I think it can look a lot of different ways. You know, something, and it's about finding the one that creates that peace in your body.
Yeah.
You know, and I believe that if you listen, you'll hear it. You'll get
Uh-huh.
good at hearing it. But you know, I have everything I need
Mhm.
inside of me is one that resonates with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Belief in your wholeness,
Mm-hmm.
right? And for me, I love to believe in equality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've been talking about equality since before Aristotle, but for some reason, we're still talking about it because we
Mm-hmm.
don't feel it in our bodies, right? If we accepted it just like we accept the sky is blue, right? We still wouldn't be playing this game of am I enough? Am I enough? Am I enough? Am I enough? Right? To me, I've been thinking about confidence lately, and just because I've had times when I feel confident and times when I don't feel confident. And to me, feeling confident is like I am enough, right? Confidence is like the antidote, how you feel instead. And I realize that when I feel confident, I'm not thinking I'm super great or greater than anybody else. I'm thinking that everybody's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
When I feel confident, it's when I look around, if I just have this knowing, I'm like, we're all awesome, right? I'm awesome, you're awesome, equally, right?
My personal, just talking about comparison and those ideas, my personal declaration that regards to this is I am undefinable.
Yeah.
That's what really sits well with me, is like, forget all the comparison. Like, we are all undefinable. We are all so much more than we think we are. We don't even know it.
I like to say in my declarations, I am everything,
Mm-hmm.
because the thing I use to kick myself is I'm stupid. That's my I'm
Oh,
not
me
enough.
too.
Yeah, like, oh, I'm stupid. And then I'm like, once I realize that I am everything, I am smart and I am stupid. I am comparably, you could use basic things. I am taller than some people. I am shorter than some people. You could take any two polarities and I have them both in me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you
I
have them both
love
in you.
that.
So I literally am everything,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if I call myself stupid, it's the I'm not enough, I'm stupid. It's like, yeah, so I'm also smart, right? It
Yeah,
takes the sting away. There's no shame when it's art, you already know that you're all the things.
I love that.
Yeah, so everybody's awesome and we're all the things.
Yeah.
All the time even, right? Yeah, so I love awesome. I love co-creating this with you. So there was the past, right?
Yeah.
Another reason you might feel upset in your body is because you had a thought that you're ruminating on the past,
Mm-hmm.
which is something we all do. And to me, when we ruminate on the past, it's because we are having a judgment, right? About comparing or thinking what should have happened that wasn't
Mm-hmm.
good enough or that means something about me.
Or that the past was better and now my life sucks.
That's another comparison, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah. That's the other side of it.
the past was a fairy tale, apparently, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's the antidote to that?
Mine is, it is always right now. It is always now.
Presence. Yeah.
Yeah. This right now is the only, is all there is.
Yeah. 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 And I love to love past me, current me, and future me. We could put the past and the future one all
Yeah.
together. I love past me, current me, and future me, not because I've done, not, there's no requirements to it, right? I just love me because I decided to,
Mm-hmm.
and because I am everything, right? Like there's nothing that I can do or not do or say or not say. Uh, there's no way I can perform or not perform to make me love myself any less. And that's not a happening, that's a decision.
Right.
And some of us get practiced in that in childhood. To me, that's what secure attachment is made of.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us aren't so practiced at it. But the deciding that, yeah, that happened and I love it. And to be more specific, not I love like I prefer it or like I'm glad that happened to me even. It's just that I put my love on it, right? I'm going to actively give my love to it, right? So when I see my past, a way to love my past is to describe myself as a heroine to those past situations instead of a victim of them, right? And this doesn't mean like criminal victim, right? But if I see myself as, man, I did that really hard thing. Look how amazing I am versus, oh my God, I got into a really bad place. Look how awful I was,
Yeah.
right? So like portray myself in a loving way or portray maybe the other people in a loving way, not saying they didn't do anything wrong, not saying there was no pain, right? But wishing good, right? On whatever that was.
Yeah.
So, but the point of all that is to bring us back to presence, like you said, right?
Yeah.
Here we are. Look around. Feel the surfaces that you're here. Yeah. Amazing. So that was three of them.
Yeah, because that works for present and future, right? Like,
Too. Yeah. I mean, that's about like worrying,
yeah.
which 99.9% of the things we worry about can't actually come true because we're literally making up stories,
Yep.
right? We're just like telling stories that and when we're getting upset from them, we're telling stories that hurt ourselves, right? It's like tell a story, now I'm worried about it. Ouch.
Yeah. I recently did a poll on Instagram. Does your brain spend more time in the past or the future?
Mhm.
And it was a perfect 50-50 split. People said,
Wow.
this is mostly, like adult women friends or about my age that
Yeah.
answered. But it was a perfect split and I could see who said what. And I found it
Yeah.
really interesting. Like the people who tend to think about the past and the people who tend to be stuck in the future.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm 75% in the future and 25% in the past. I'm always thinking like about what could be, what
Yeah.
might be, what do I want to create?
Yeah.
And that's fine, but
Right.
to spend most of your time there is you're missing out on life right now. You want
Especially
to
if
be
it's
intentional about it.
yeah, in the form of worrying,
It
right?
does
Not
very quickly turn into worrying.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Lovely. We could talk about each of these, I think, for a whole hour in themselves. But
Yeah.
what was another reason you feel upset in your body?
I'm not in integrity with myself.
So wanting or yeah, being integrity with yourself is like my body feels comfortable if I say yes. Does that resonate? But I
Mm-hmm.
said no.
Right. Like I don't want these people to be mad at me. So
People,
I'm gonna go to the party even though I'm really tired.
yeah,
It's people pleasing behaviors, um, overcommitting yourself.
yeah. Yeah, or even like a situation where you don't speak up about something, right? If someone's,
Yeah.
you know, treating someone another in a way that you don't like and you can feel that, right? And you're wanting to say something and you don't, right? So now you're carrying that disconnection around in your own body. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love thinking about how like how my body's giving me clues all the time,
Mm-hmm.
right? To what I really want. And it does get a little confusing when, for me at least, sometimes there's peeling apart, like, do I really want this, but I'm nervous to do it, right?
Yes.
Because there's nervous feelings too that happen in our bodies, right? So it takes definitely some inner work. That's why we're doing this, right? To peel all those layers apart. Another
Right.
whole hour conversation could be about that. But yeah, so that what's the antidote, right?
Yeah. Um, I I think that that is getting to know the feeling in
Mhm.
yourself of what is true for you. But for me, this shows up a lot of people pleasing and overextending,
Yeah.
right? And not so much in the not speaking up. That does happen sometimes.
Mhm.
But as far as that, I mean, it's more of the thought that you can't pour from an empty cup. So I can't give what I don't have is a thought that it's what I remind
Yeah.
myself of when I'm thinking, all right, let me just do this for this person, even though I'm exhausted. Um,
Yeah. This could take us into, the the feminine in us wants to serve the collective, right?
mhm,
But the divine feminine realizes that serving yourself first
mhm,
actually makes you more able to serve the collective, right?
right.
Um so choosing yourself, right, is a thing a lot of us struggle with. And so choosing yourself, and for me, the more I get into this practice of choosing myself, the more of a hell yes I require before I say yes, right? So the longer I practice this, the more I need to be sure that this is a hell frickin' yes
Uh-huh.
before I say yes to it. Because the more I follow my hell yes, the more I'm creating the life that I want and the world that I want to live in,
Mhm.
right? So that to me is the antidote, is waiting for the hell yes before you say yes, right? Because no, sometimes that gets muddled with the I'm nervous about it, that kind of thing. But the the feeling of a hell yes, right? I want to get to know that feeling so well and really wait for it before I commit
Mhm.
my time and my energy and whatever else is involved. Um, so I love, uh, yeah, that train of thought that one took us down. So was that four? Is there one more?
There's one more. Oh, did we do? I know I'm letting go. I'm not letting go of attachments.
No, so that's the last one,
That's the
right?
last one. Yeah.
Yeah, so things are a certain way, right? And I say, like, sometimes something will come up in our lives, right? And it's like new fact come up, whatever is the reality. Um, and I find myself going, no, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Like this resistance. And I just try to hold the resistance as long as I can, maybe for days, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not real. It's not real. There's no pandemic. There's no pandemic, right? The denial, or just the resistance to what is, and what that creates in our relationships and just our internal experience, um, is powerful, right?
Mhm.
And Byron Katie is the one that talks about loving what is.
Right.
And loving what is isn't about, like, I prefer this or I chose this. It's just about, if this is the reality of the world, am I going to choose to be critical of it or loving of it?
Mhm.
And just like in our relationships, when we step into loving things, like, what do we take care of? Do we take care of things that we hate? Not really.
Right.
So whatever is in front of us, yeah, sinking into loving what is, so that we're operating from a place of love.
Because only from there can you make a peaceful, take an action
Hmm.
that's going to be helpful, truly helpful, I think. When
Yeah.
you're acting out of hatred for what is, that just becomes a part of your action and your response.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It
and
becomes part of
so,
the situation, right?
right. So acceptance, allowing, right? A
My
give.
kid's throwing a tantrum in the grocery store,
Yeah.
right? So this goes back to the, like, and it's okay. I
Yeah.
wouldn't choose this, right? I wouldn't wish this on anybody. I'm going to shift it as soon as I'm able,
Oh,
right?
you just
But
gave me a flashback to that. And once I just got so I just wanted it to stop. And then he sensed my my upset, which only enraged his upset. And it was this mess where someone was like, can I help you carry your groceries to the car? Which was so kind, but it was terrible, as opposed to just, accepting what's happening and being able to take a conscious action from that place.
Yeah. To move you in a direction towards what you would love to create,
Right.
right? Because, I can respond and right and holding this with no judgment, right? Like it's okay either way, right? But one option is to hate my son having a tantrum, and I have the embarrassed feelings are going to come,
Mhm.
right? And I can sit with them and feel them and let them go all the way through and say, man, I'm feeling embarrassed, but that's okay. It's part of life, right? Or, oh my God, I do not want you throwing a tantrum. I do not want to feel this embarrassment. I do not want this to continue for 1 minute longer, so I'm going to end it. And acting out of resistance instead
Right.
of, my brain knows some practices that will help us move through this towards peace, you know but I have to be loving the situation to take care of it very well, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think the antidote to that, to those moments when you're not in integrity with yourself, or, oh no, sorry, you're hating what is, they are contextual, right? So
Mm.
in the moment of, you know, a kid having a tantrum, you know, I am a good parent. I am a loving parent.
Mhm.
Um, that's the truth,
Yeah.
right?
Or at
Tantrums
least it's
happen.
who I'm gonna speak into being in this moment,
Right. Yeah.
right? Yeah,
It
that's
is
really.
okay that my child is having a tantrum.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm here for it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's when we that's like self-abandonment when we're like, no, this is not part of my life. I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want this. Instead of like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for it, and here's, I'm bringing all my senses with me,
Right.
right? And all my love. And um, there's nothing more important right now than just being here with this, right? Not preventing embarrassment, not whatever else, I'd rather be doing. This is my most important work right here.
Yeah. That's,
Amazing.
yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for we really got deep into the 101 conversation.
Yeah.
The
I
inner
love
work
talking
101.
about this stuff. I
Yeah.
feel like it's what could change the world.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Um, how let's end on how what keeps you this is what you were just saying, but what keeps you coaching and being coached, right? Like coaching is a practice that I know I will keep in my life forever after
Mhm.
experiencing it,
Yes.
right? Whether I'm coaching myself or whether I'm in a coaching program with another coach or whether I'm coaching other people, to me, um, it's all it all brings such a a growth to my life that I can't imagine
Mhm.
being without it. Right? So, what has doing this inner work brought into your life? Why are you keeping it around?
Peace. I
Mm.
really feel that it brings peace to my life, and especially now that I've gotten past that part of thinking that the out the answers out there. I'm convinced that I have my answers somewhere. If I can talk to somebody who also practices self-awareness, I talk to a coach, I know I can always come back to peace, and from there magic happens,
Yes.
right? um and I love bringing that to other people.
Yeah.
I honestly, and I do a lot of my coaching is self-awareness 101 type things. And it doesn't matter what the issue is. It's
Yes.
the same
Yes.
stuff in every
Mhm.
context. Um, and so I absolutely love it. And I mean, every client that I've had tells me that they don't see things the same way anymore. And
Yeah.
that is the
Oh my
biggest
gosh,
hit,
that's everything.
right? Right. I
Yeah,
can't imagine something more fulfilling than that.
watching somebody for the first time, you know, who is deep in a relationship troubles or whatever the kind of troubles are, right? Walk into a conversation with another person, with me as a coach, and instead of me asking what's wrong, me asking what do you want to create in your life?
Mm-hmm.
It takes a minute sometimes, right? To make the shift, like, wait, I can just dream right now, and then we
Mm-hmm.
can get everything else out of the way, right? It's like a whole new paradigm, a whole new set of skills that takes us into that shadow work. Yes, we're gonna talk about, right? Feeling our feelings in our body and all the things you just talked about, right? But standing on okay, right? Believing that everything is okay, getting there, that's the place where you can create anything that you want in your life, right? That's the epic journey that
Mm-hmm.
coaching offers. And yeah, once again, I'm so grateful to have you in my life to
I know. You're stuck with me forever, Heather.
forever and ever. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Well, yeah, I will talk to you so soon.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for sharing. This would be such of a, I feel like you created such a valuable conversation for anyone who is new to inner work or new to what coaching is. So I'm excited for others to see this
Thank
and to
you.
expand, their area of light a little bit more.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I had a lot of fun.
Oh, good. Yes, we'll do it again soon. All right.
Okay.
See you
Talk
later,
soon.
Andrea.
Bye bye.
Bye.